exiting here, turn 5 is very high speed on the exit. Because of this tire that we were talking about, able to carry even more speed out of there. And then the left-hander around 6.
So you got a little more runoff room. Kyle Busch taking advantage of it. Used to be gravel over there. Now we got a little pavement they can work with if they overshoot.
Yeah. This is Denny Hamlin coming out of that turn 5 that we spoke about earlier during his qualifying lap, which puts him way back here today.
So carrying speed off that corner down through the next to last and last corners. Very important to get to the finish line first. Going racing in one more lap. Checking our Goodyear track facts for today. It is a 90-lap race around this racetrack. And while that's a relatively short mileage number compared to, say a 500 mile from last weekend, it's a full day's work on a road course to run those 220 miles.
Oh, yeah. It seems like any normal 400-mile race that you would run. A lot of things happening, shifting gears, turning left and right, trying to stay on the racing surface.
Yeah, and you see that pit road speed, 40 miles an hour. That's 5 miles an hour faster than previous years here. So cars can make that trip down pit road a little bit quicker.
And the pit window number, Andy, let's touch on the strategy briefly. We could see just almost a constant procession of cars on the pit road under the green flag in this race.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams that can go, or some teams that can go 30 laps. So if you break this thing up into 3 segments, 2 stops, there's some guys that can't do that. So they're going to have to make an extra pit stop if it goes to full distance. And that's where it gets tricky. We got weather out there. We don't know if it's going to make the full distance, so these crew chiefs are going to be on their toes.
One crew chief that'll really have to be on his toes because of where his team stands in that championship chase picture is Ryan Newman's crew chief. Doc?
And Ryan Newman, like Andy mentioned, is one of the guys, one of the many that cannot go 30 laps. Let's talk to Tony Gibson. Tony, what is the fuel strategy for you guys? How will you play it today?
Well, we plan on making 3 stops. That's been our plan. We're not in the risky mode right now. We're trying to be conservative and points race here. So we got a little different strategy than a lot of guys, but the same as some too. So the U.S. Army we're conservative. A little bit different plan, but hopefully it works out. I wish I was a weatherman, to be honest with you, because right now this stuff pops up and starts raining and we can't see it on the radar. So it's kind of a guessing game. I hope I don't screw up today and do the wrong things, but we have a game plan. We plan on sticking to it, and hopefully the weather doesn't change that.
All right, and what we are hearing will happen, a lot of teams down here, they will pit on lap 6 or 7 under green and then come back on 33, and it's after lap 60. So we'll see what happens early on.
All right, Doc, thanks. And as the field gets set to come to the green, a quick look at some of the onboard views we will have during the course of today's race. Really fun to watch these drivers at work on a road course.
It's going to be busy. Yeah, and you talk about it is work, really. You have to make sure that you get the gears changed at the proper time, the RPMs matched up with your speed, and again, staying on this course is of ultimate importance here today.
So they come to the final corner before the start. Delayed a little less than 24 hours by rain, but now the drivers have to be up on it, ready to go.
And the car has to be ready too. You see them weaving back and forth, trying to put heat in those tires. They're going to need it when they get to turn 1.
We are ready for the start of the Monday matinee at Watkins Glen. Kyle Busch and A.J. Allmendinger bring him down to the green flag. Allmendinger gets the lead from Kyle Busch.
That's an aggressive move on the outside through turn 1 and off turn 1, up the S's.
I thought he'd had enough, was going out the gate down there. My gosh, he used up a lot of room, but was in the gas that whole time.
Inner loop, first time.
I tell you, you pass Kyle Busch on the start of a race, you've done something.
Heard a lot of people talk about this 43 car being extremely fast all weekend. Their concern was, is he going to be able to keep that speed up throughout a run?
Exit turn 5, some call it the carousel, some the outer loop. And that run down the 3rd straightaway to turn 6 and 7, the finishing corners.
And the track conditions got to be pretty ideal for high speed, so we'll see these lap times be pretty fast. And then Tony Stewart say that the tire's softer, and we'll see. You can see water kicking up right there in those ripple strips coming off the last corner.
And we saw these drivers going all the way out beside the safer barrier to see Marcus Ambrose take over that second spot from Kyle Busch.
Richard Petty's cars are 1-2 as they come off turn 1.
Ambrose, the Australian, so good at Watkins Glen. 3 Nationwide Series wins, 3 top 3 finishes in Sprint Cup competition, but none of them a win. See some drops on some of the camera lenses. There are sprinkles and showers all around the area.
Trouble right here. Morris said getting maybe turned a little bit by Jamie McMurray.
Just going to be a local caution. He'll get back going.
One's coming. Just hold on. Be careful.
We'll have to look at it. I said that there looked like contact as they entered there, and a lot of that can happen as you get in trying to make a pass. One of the favorite areas for these drivers. See if there was, or if Morris just got in there a little hot. Yeah, I believe he was just in there over his head, maybe a little bit of wheel hop, and I don't think that Jamie had anything to do with that except dodging it.
That area used to be a gravel trap. A couple of years ago, his car would have been stuck in sand up to its hubs. They paved that for upgrading competition purposes here, part of a large restructuring program to help the competition, and that allowed Morris to just drive away.
Yeah, we'd be under caution right now while they dug that car out of the gravel. It's still plenty safe, though, now that they've got that pavement. Got a lot of runoff.
Yeah, it came a little late for my liking. I got stuck up there one time, so. But the nice they could do it now. It is a lot better for the drivers and to keep this flowing.
Looking a little deeper into the field, some of the side-by-side racing that sorts itself out coming to the inner loop. Going to mention Casey Mears in that 13 car you see has got to come to pit road for a pass-through penalty for passing before the start-finish line on the initial start.
See, Denny Hamlin here in the 11 car had to start way back today, trying to make his way forward. You want to be aggressive, but you also don't want to put yourself in a bad position. See Jeff Burton trying to take a spot away.
That's TJ Bell in the 50 car that Burton goes by. Mentioned Denny Hamlin, and as we watch Martin Truex move up a spot, 56 on Ryan Newman, 39, and Carl Edwards try and take advantage. Hamlin, Newman, and a couple other guys in that very close race for those spots in NASCAR's chase for the Sprint Cup. The points are tight. A lot of cars usually finish on the lead lap here at Watkins Glen, and it really puts them in position of having to be very strategic at what they do. All right, and that's a nice way of saying be careful.
Be careful. Yeah, we heard Tony Gibson, the crew chief for Ryan Newman. He said, we're not taking any chances. We're going to be conservative because they need to score points. And that's a little different than some of the teams. Like Tony Stewart, his teammate, he needs to win a race. Uh-oh, there goes Kurt Busch.
Back up.
That's some damage on the left front.
Yeah, he had a really fast car, but he started way back in the pack, and I'm sure he was being aggressive trying to get some of these spots.
Spun out. I don't know how bad the tires are flat spotted. They're pretty bad. We got to come in.
He's got flat spotted tire.
And he'll have to be careful because he's lost so much time in making this stop that he doesn't get a lap down here.
Got a little damage, too, on that left front.
I'm guessing by that he might have been trying to make an out-braking pass there going into that inner loop.
Well,
that's the door closed.
That's where you try that. And he was up on a lot of cars right there trying to make these passes. So here he comes to pit road.
See, Boris said just in front of him, Jamie McMurray also on pit lane.
And this can be part of that continuous strategy procession we're going to see.
We're going to see cars on pit road this whole race, and it's going to be almost make you dizzy trying to keep up with it.
Vince.
Well, this was the biggest concern for Steve Addington, the crew chief for the 22, Kurt Busch, getting through the traffic from that 27th starting position. So now they're going to evaluate the damage on the front end. Definitely some left front damage. They'll go ahead and take this opportunity, obviously, to fill it full of fuel and put 4 new tires on it. But Kurt Busch doesn't look as though that damage on the left front is going to prohibit him from having any tire rotation. So he's sent on his way, Alan.
As we watch a challenge for the lead between teammates. Ambrose looking inside of Allmendinger. And
that's
Kurt
close.
Busch is barely going to stay on the lead lap.
He's going to have to really get up on the wheel now to try to stay on the lead lap. We figured it was going to be close right there because he had lost so much ground.
Yeah, and he's got the 2 fastest cars in the field.
Potential caution in the bus stop.
Potential caution. We heard his spotter saying there's be some problems up there. See, it takes a minute for these tires to come up to pressure. So, a lot of grass.
Somebody's been through the grass.
Man, that's some hard racing right through there. That's a risky part of the track, too. This is a situation where Allmendinger needs to be careful, too, because he's got somebody pretty hungry to get that lap back behind him.
An interesting thing here, because on an oval track, you look at Kurt running first car a lap down right behind the leader, and you say, okay, if caution comes out, he's going to be okay. But the way the road course strategy cycles out, he really needs, if I'm thinking this through correctly, Andy, to get in front of that 43.
Yeah, that really does make things different for him, because if that caution comes out, he gets to make up all the ground immediately. He will get the lucky dog if the caution comes out anyway, but it takes a lot longer to get back to where he would be.
Caution comes out, and he's a lap down. He has to start at the back of all the lead lap cars. He gets by this 43, caution comes out. He stays on the track when all these other guys pit, and he gains all that stuff back.
Okay, we're in another strategy play. Harvick's in for just fuel. Janet?
Yeah, and I did speak with Gil Martin yesterday. He did tell me that they were going to make it on 3 stops today, and this was part of their plan to come down early and get some fuel.
All right, Shannon. So Kurt Busch went from 22nd place to 42nd place with trouble back at the inner loop that caused that left front damage on the car.
He just got away from him.
Yeah, got in the back of Dale Jr. just a little bit there, and looked like he may have had to apply a little more brake at that time and probably a little too much rear brake. You can see he was all over the bumper trying to stay off of Dale Jr. there.
So Kurt again back to 42nd place, and the strategy shuffle has begun as pit stops are going to roll through this next segment of the race. Back at Watkins Glen, charging toward the inner loop is the new leader of this race, Marcos Ambrose in the 9. Kyle Busch is 2nd, Jimmy Johnson 3rd. The man who was the leader when we went to break, A.J. Allmendinger, is 5th. 37 car spun around at turn 1. That's Scott Speed. We'll see if he can keep it fired up. And we will stay under green. So Kurt Busch now back in front of the race leader. Let's show you what happened out of the inner loop just a minute ago.
We told you this is going to be exciting all day. Didn't take long for it to happen here.
See, he was sandwiched the leader. Allmendinger was sandwiched between Boris Said, who was tail end of the lead lap, and Kurt Busch, who was a lap down. He was in a no-win situation right there.
Kurt was ready to go in this corner a little deeper. See, bumps Allmendinger, and you can't stop. AJ just trying to keep straight. He was just in a bad spot, unfortunately, for him. Kurt Busch was needing to go.
Allmendinger on pit road, Dave.
Crew Chief Greg Irwin said this was their best shot at a first win to possibly be a wild card entrant. This will put him behind for now. We'll see if the strategy can possibly work out. Obviously, the race car very fast. A clean grill now, temperatures up to 300, Alan, before he came down pit road. They're still trying to make sure that's right.
When these cars go through the grass, they get that grill plugged up, and that temperature goes immediately sky high. They have to get on pit road as quickly as possible. It's almost like just taping the thing solid, and you can see there he got to pit road just in time. There's no opening there. There's virtually no air going in the grill after he does that.
So the strategy adjusted there by crew chief Greg Irwin to deal with the complications from losing the lead. Tim Brewer in our Craftsman Tech Garage with more on keeping that grill clean.
Anytime a driver goes off course here in Watkins Glen, the damage is going to be plugging up the grill area right here and plugging up the brake ducts. You have to have airflow to cool the water in the engine, but more important, you've got to cool the tires and the brakes. Anytime you go off course, you're going to have to come to pit road and clean those openings.
All right, Tim, thanks. So Ambrose, the leader, as a result of that incident a moment ago. Ryan Newman has been on pit road for a green flag stop. And we continue to watch the weather and watch the action with great interest and intensity.